Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, then hi, my name is Monisha. I am originally from India. I'm an international medical graduate and I'm currently doing my core training in the specialty psychiatry here in London. I make lots of videos on this channel about PLAB exams, about my international medical graduate journey and how I moved as a doctor from India to be practicing medicine here in the UK now, and also show you a little bit of an insight into my life here in London and what also doing psychiatry residency looks like here in the UK. Today's video is about all the different pathways that you can be considering and pursuing to be able to practice medicine here in the UK, basically to get registered with GMC to then be able to practice medicine here. So without wasting any more time, let's dive into the video. Oh, hold on, before that, if you're new here and if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, then please do consider subscribing. Promise you it doesn't take much of your time. It literally takes 5 seconds and it doesn't cost you any money, and it's sort of a little support to this channel. Okay, alright, let's get cracking with the video. Alright, so right off the bat, the first pathway which you have famously or infamously heard a lot about are the PLAB exams. PLAB exams are something that you can consider if you're right now doing your medical school, you're currently doing your internship, or you're just out of medical school. This is the pathway which is traditionally followed, and I would still highly recommend it, and not just because I pursued it, but I feel like, you know, if you move here as a junior doctor right out of your medical school, for you to grow and slowly learn is much better than you diving off into the deep end, joining here the registrar. That's just my opinion. PLAB exams, if you are hearing this abbreviation for the first time, it stands for Professional Linguistic Assessment Board. Prior to giving PLAB exams, you obviously need to have your primary medical qualification, which means you must have done your MBBS or your med school. You need to give English proficiency tests, which would be either IELTS or OET, and then you give PLAB 1 exam, which is like a multiple choice question exam, and PLAB 2 exam, which is an 𝐕 exam. So this is in brief about the PLAB exam, but if you want to know in depth about PLAB exams, then I'm going to link playlist over here, and I'm going to also put down playlist in my description box. There are lots and lots of videos, at least 20 to 25 videos about PLAB exams on my channel, so you can go and watch those videos. Alright, so the second pathway which you can consider to get registered with the GMC are the membership exams or the Royal College exams. Each and every specialty has its own Royal College exam, so no two specialties will have similar sort of exams, but usually the pattern is that you would have written exams and then you would have an 𝐈𝐦𝐻𝐨 exam, but these exams are much harder than the traditional PLAB exams. Also, you need to have a certain number of years of experience in a specialty to be able to apply for certain parts of the exam. Say for example, in 𝐕 Psych exams, which is for psychiatry, the final part of the exam is 𝐾ASK exam, which is an 𝐈𝐻𝐾 exam. For you to apply for that exam, you should have worked for a certain number of years in psychiatry. I think the same is also for PACES, which is the final part or the 𝐈𝐻𝐾 part of the internal medicine program for the membership exams. So you couldn't have just stepped out of med school and start appearing for Royal College exams, because you wouldn't be able to attempt all the parts of it. Like I said, every specialty has its own exams, like 𝐕 Psych is for psychiatry, 𝐕-CP is for internal medicine, 𝐕-C is for surgery, 𝐕-GP for general practice, 𝐕-OG for obs and gynae, FRCA for anesthesia. So there's lots and lots of it. I'm going to put a whole list over here on my left side, on my left side, for you to have a read through. And if you want to attempt any of these exams, you will have to see if you're eligible for it or not, and secondly, you'll have to see what the paths are specifically going on the Royal College website of that specific specialty. If you are somebody who is currently doing the residency back in your home country, or you're doing your post-graduation, then this pathway is something that you can consider, because you would have had certain number of years of experience in that given specialty. So the third pathway that you can consider or pursue is MTI, that stands for Medical Training Initiative. So there are certain countries in Africa and also say India and some of the Indian subcontinent countries where they have sort of a tie-up with the UK, wherein they would send you for like a fellowship program or like a sponsorship program for you to be able to come here, you know, gain some experience to then go back to your home country. So this is like an exchange program or like a fellowship program, like I said. said, it is offered usually to people who have certain number of years of experience back in their home country. You must have worked in this specialized field or whatever, like people who are doing the post-graduation, or people are basically who are at registrar level in their home country are offered this MTI program, and you can consider that, and that would mean that you would straight up get your GMC registration, and on that you can move here. You are only offered that for 2 years, so the program is only for 2 years. If you want to stay back beyond 2 years, then you will have to find a job separately outside of this program. If not, then you can come here, have a feel of what NHS is, and experience the program and work here in the NHS, learn new skill set, and then take that back to your home country. Every specialty has information about the MTI program on that specific specialty's Royal College website. So you need to go on the website and just look up for MTI, and that will show if your institution or your hospital or wherever you're currently doing your post-graduation is recognized or not for that MTI program. Say you're somebody who's currently doing surgery post-graduation back in your home country and you want to come to the UK, but you're not so sure if you want to live here long term or not, then MTI is a program that you can consider. You need to go on the website, like I said, and look up details about it. Every specialty has its own criteria, and the process is very different, and the information is very different. So you need to go on to that specific specialty's Royal College website to look up for information. Secondly, something that you need to be aware of is that, like I said, you are given 2 years for this program. So you're given GMC registration, which is full registration. If you want to, keep going with your GMC registration, you need to find a job outside of this program once it's towards the tail end of your 2 years. The visa that you're given for these 2 years, that's something you really need to be aware of, is Tier 5 visa. That's not the same as Tier 2 visa. If you are here on MTI program on this Tier 5 visa for 2 years, that doesn't count towards your ILR process. ILR stands for indefinite leave to remain, which is something going towards to be able to get your British passport or your British citizenship, or basically your PR, your permanent residency here in the UK. And the way it works is that you need to be on Tier 2 visa for 5 years to then be eligible for ILR. So if you come here on MTI program, you get Tier 5 visa, and those 2 years don't count towards your ILR. And then when you switch and find another job after those 2 years, would you be getting Tier 2 visa? That's when your clock begins. From there on, the clock begins for 5 years for you to then be eligible to apply for ILR or your permanent citizenship over here. So the next thing that you need to be aware of with MTI is that there are fees involved, and like I said, every specialty has information on their Royal College website, so you need to go and look up on that. Okay, another thing that you need to be aware of with the MTI program is that there are only certain trusts in the country that offer this program to you, basically in the UK. So that doesn't mean that once you get this MTI program, you can choose you want to be in London or where you want to work. That's not how it works. There are very specific posts and very specific trusts, because people get that as a shock. They're kind of shipped off to these different kind of towns which are not obviously like London or the bigger cities. So this is something for you to be aware of, and you need to look into it and see which are the trusts or which are the cities in the UK which have this MTI program, alongside of seeing if your institution back in your home country is on their list or not. Okay, so what happens at the end of these 2 years of your MTI program? You get a certificate. If you're being sponsored by the Royal College, then you get something called the Diploma in UK Practice. But if it's your country, third party that is sort of sponsoring you, then you would get Training Completion Certificate. What is the value of the certificate? Don't know. You need to look up back in your home country if this certificate in any way holds any value back there. I just wanted to also say something, that you coming here on MTI program and doing those 2 years doesn't mean you become a consultant at the end of it. For you to become a consultant in the UK, you need to go through your specialty training program to be able to do that. This certificate in any way makes you consultant back in your home country or not, I don't know. You'll have to look up what's the value of the certificate back in your home country. Having said that, I think it's a good program for people who are still not sure if they want a long-term stay in the UK or not, but want to get a bit of a taste to see what it is like. And if you've done your post-graduation back in your home country and you're looking at this 2 years of experience here in the UK, MTI is a good program for people like that. But other than that, if you're somebody who looks at long-term moving here, wouldn't really recommend MTI to them. Maybe consider PLAB exams or Royal College exams, because then you would be moving here on Tier 2 visa, and that would count towards you ultimately getting your permanent residency here. And also, once you're sort of in the system in terms of whether it's training or non-training or whatever, you are in the system, you're at par with other UK medical graduates. Alright, so the pathway 4 that you can consider to get GMC registered are other licensing exams, such as if you've given step 1 of USMLE, or if you've given parts of AMC exams, which is Australian Medical Council, or you've given parts of the Canadian medical licensing exams, which is the MCCQE, which is Medical Council of Canada qualifying exams. So if you've given parts of these exams, then you can apply for GMC registration and you get GMC registered. But there's a caveat over here. You need to have appeared for these exams prior to March 2020. And if you have in the meanwhile appeared for PLAB exams while having appeared for these exams, then this criteria doesn't count for you. You should have strictly appeared for these exams to then be eligible to apply for GMC registration. Okay, so the next and the final pathway that you can consider to apply for GMC registration are if you have primary medical qualification or you've done your med school or MBBS from these EEA countries. So from these European countries, if you've done them, then you can apply for GMC registration. But having said that, not all countries are recognized by the GMC. There are certain countries which are recognized and certain aren't. And also within the ones that are recognized, there are certain countries via which you can only apply for provisional registration and certain countries with which you get full registration. So I will list all that over here and also scroll through that so that you can see which countries there are. You will have to click on each country and see whether it's recognized by the GMC here in the UK or not. But that's something to consider. If you've done your med school in the Europe, it sort of gets recognized over here and you get GMC license. I will leave a link down below in the description box as well, and you can click on that and see whether the country you're currently doing your MBBS or med school from in Europe, whether that's being recognized by GMC, whether your institution is there on the list or not. So yeah, so if you're doing med school in the Europe, you get GMC license here and that's recognized, which is a great option to consider if you ever, are considering working here in the NHS. So those were all the pathways that I am aware of which gives you GMC license or grants you GMC license to be able to practice medicine here in the UK. If there are any pathways that I haven't mentioned and you guys are aware of, then please drop it down in my comment section below. Every day is a new learning day and more than happy to learn about different other pathways which I am not aware of. Hope you've enjoyed this video and I hope you found this video useful. If you did, then please do consider giving it a big thumbs up. Basically click on the like button, and if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, then please do consider subscribing. I hope you're looking after yourself and your loved ones, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Mwah.